Welcome to K11 Software Solutions AI-powered test automation playlist. Today's topic is transforming test automation with RAG, NLP, and conversational AI, exploring how retrieval-augmented generation, language understanding, and conversational interfaces are reshaping modern test automation. So let's dive right in. We all know that test automation is supposed to be this cornerstone of Agile and DevOps, right? But here's the thing. A lot of the traditional frameworks are really starting to hit a wall. They're struggling to keep up with the pace of modern development, and they're actually creating bottlenecks that slow the whole team down.
Which leads to a really important question you should ask yourself. Does your automation feel more like a bottleneck than a booster? Is it actually slowing you down? If you're nodding along right now, trust me, you are not alone. So many teams are finding themselves in this exact same boat.
Okay, so where is all this friction coming from? Well, it pretty much boils down to a few key pain points. First, knowledge is just scattered everywhere. It's in wikis, is buried in code comments, or it's just stuck in the heads of your senior engineers. And that, of course, leads to painfully long onboarding cycles, a huge dependency on those senior folks, and maintenance costs that just keep climbing. It's this vicious cycle that really stifles growth.
But what if there was a way to break that cycle? This is where an AI-powered upgrade comes into the picture. It's a completely new approach, and it uses a trio of powerful AI technologies to fundamentally change how we even interact with our automation frameworks.
And I want to be super clear here. We're not talking about three separate, clunky tools. Nope. This is one single, unified system. Think of it like this. Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG, is the context-aware brain. Natural language processing, NLP, is what provides the understanding. And conversational AI, that's the friendly, intuitive interface. Put them all together, and you've basically got a super smart assistant for your framework.
Honestly, this is a massive paradigm shift. Just look at the difference. We're moving away from those static, rigid frameworks to something that's dynamic and adaptive. Instead of manual troubleshooting, you get AI-assisted debugging. All that fragmented knowledge we talked about becomes centralized intelligence. And maybe, best of all, the need for deep coding expertise is replaced by a conversational interface that's accessible to everyone on the team.
All right, let's start with the first piece of the puzzle, and it's a big one. Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG. This is really the secret sauce, the technology that provides that context-aware intelligence that makes this all work.
So you know how general-purpose AI can sometimes just make stuff up? That's because it doesn't have domain-specific knowledge about your project. Well, RAG solves that problem head-on. Instead of just relying on generic pre-trained data, a RAG system actively searches your project's documentation, your wikis, your tech specs, your guides, to build its answer. It literally grounds the AI in your project's reality.
And the process is brilliantly simple. First, it indexes all of your project documentation, turning it into a searchable knowledge base. Now, when you ask a question, the system acts like an expert librarian on hyperdrive, instantly retrieving the most relevant chunks of information. Then, and this is the most important part, the generative AI uses only that retrieved context to create a precise, accurate, and domain-specific response.
The benefits here are just massive. You basically eliminate those AI hallucinations because every answer is grounded in your actual documents. The outputs are completely explainable since you can trace them right back to the source material. And because it can re-index your docs, the AI stays current as your project evolves, all without needing to be retrained. This is how you build real trust in AI.
Okay, so we have this context-aware brain. Awesome. But how do we actually talk to it? That's where NLP and conversational interfaces come in. They're the bridge between what we're thinking, our human intent, and what the machine needs to do. Just imagine this. You type a simple request in plain English. No need to remember specific method names or write a bunch of boilerplate code. You just describe what you need. And then, bam! The system takes that simple request and instantly generates production-ready Selenium code that follows your project's own best practices and coding standards. I mean, compared to manually scripting every single test case, this is a quantum leap forward.
This capability is absolutely transformative. It dramatically speeds up test creation. It lowers the skill barrier so more people can contribute effectively. It ensures consistency across your entire test suite. And as a result, it drastically improves long-term maintainability. It really is about working smarter, not harder.
So this all sounds great in theory, but what about the real-world impact? Let's look at the measurable results teams are seeing when they actually implement this kind of AI-powered system. This chart says it all. You can see how teams are reclaiming their engineering time. They're spending way less time just searching for information, debugging issues, or doing repetitive manual scripting. And all that time they get back, it's freed up so they can focus on more meaningful QA work. The complex exploratory testing that truly adds value.
The impacts really fall into three main buckets. First, massive productivity gains from just getting tests written and issues resolved faster. Second, knowledge becomes way more accessible, which slashes onboarding time for new hires. And third, the entire test suite just gets better. We're talking increased test coverage and higher quality, more maintainable code.
And here's a crucial lesson learned from these real-world implementations. Trust is everything. When developers can actually see why the AI gave a certain answer by looking at the source documents it retrieved, their confidence in the system just skyrockets. That explainability, powered by RAG, is the absolute key to adoption.
So, what does the future of test automation look like? Well, it's intelligent, it's adaptive, and it's conversational.
Let's be real. The days of purely static, script-based automation are numbered. To keep up with the incredible pace of modern software development, intelligent, explainable automation is rapidly becoming a necessity, not just a nice-to-have.
And that brings us to the final, crucial question I want to leave you with. Is your automation strategy ready for this shift?
If you're ready to see this in action for yourself, the entire framework and a bunch of demos are available on GitHub right now. I highly recommend you check it out, add your own documentation, ask it questions, and see the difference RAG and NLP can make firsthand. Thanks for watching.